Hi, you've reached Call Your Publicist, your go-to source for PR moves, media moments, and brand strategies that keep businesses and people in the headlines for the right reasons. I'm one of your hosts, Jenna Guarneri, CEO and founder of JMG Public Relations.
And I'm your co-host, Alexandra Anastasio. Let's start talking.
Diana, thank you for joining us today. For those of you who are just joining with us, we have Diana Manalang, who is the founder and CEO, or head chef rather, of Little Chef Little Café. Diana, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and thank you on top of that for bringing these delicious treats. What are these?
So today we have our gluten-free peanut butter oat bar, and we've started doing a gluten-free version of our cheddar pepper scone.
And Alexandra and I don't know if you saw it, took a little sneak peek of this, and the biscuit is so good.
Yes.
So, and it's gluten-free.
Mhm.
And you can't even tell, like you don't lose flavor.
No.
It's gluten-free. So anybody who's gluten-free,
Yeah.
you have to have this.
And it's not too dry. Sometimes gluten-free stuff is dry.
Yeah, we tried to replicate our exact scone recipe and just did like a 1-for-1. So I think it came out pretty good.
I think so too. I think so too. Well, I'm excited to chat with you today because as a dear friend of mine, I know you very well and I love everything about you and your brand. But I want to start from the beginning. What made you start the business?
As much as I fought being in the restaurant industry, starting when I was so young, everyone told me that's not a real job. That's not a real career. You'll never be able to really move up or do anything unless you own it yourself. And what does that even look like? And so, I went the corporate route. I got my MBA. I worked, but corporate life was just not for me, and they knew it and I knew it and it was fine. And when I got laid off, it was like a blessing because then I didn't have that excuse. It was like, oh, wait, what am I going to do? I need to work. So I went back to restaurants because that's what I knew. And, I always envisioned that I would have something of my own, but not in the classic sense. And I feel like that's exactly what I built because I said, I'll be that unicorn. I'll have what I want. And, I knew what it would take to make it. I knew I didn't want to do the late nights. I knew I didn't want to have, rowdy crowds and nightlife. Although it was fun while it lasted. But, and I said, I love baking. I love feeding people. So how am I going to make something out of that?
I do love to eat, so I'm happy that you're baking.
Thank you.
I do have a question though, because I love how you just said you knew corporate life wasn't for you. But do you feel like that experience, having it, kind of set you up for where you are now? I know everything we go through in life is always like a setup for the next step. So do you think that even though it wasn't for you, it was important that you did it to get to where you are now?
Oh, for sure. 100%. I mean, I had some really great leaders when I was in corporate and they really supported my eccentricities, and they knew that sitting at a desk was not ideal for me. They knew that, looking at spreadsheets was not going to be like my day-to-day, what's going to excite me and motivate me. So they even came up with projects that I could work on, and they made sure I traveled and I got to meet dynamic people and be involved in really fun things. And so I was really thankful for that, but it also gave me structure and taught me, what a hierarchy is and how I didn't want to have that classic hierarchy. And how for some places it makes sense. For us, it doesn't,
Isn't it amazing for entrepreneurship? You're able to create this lifestyle around you that works, and not just works for you, but also works for the people you bring into that. You're creating this new environment that works out of that traditional corporate life. And you're creating a new space that allows other people to thrive too, not just yourself.
Yeah, it is pretty special. I still pinch myself that this is my life every day. And there are days where I curse myself that this is my life every day. But
It's your life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, when I think about it, I don't know what else there is that I would do. I would be a terrible employee.
But look at it like this, even though there are those days, right, where you say maybe it's frustrating or you do want to curse. Think about if you would have stayed in corporate. Those days where you're like, I can't believe this is my life. I'm so happy. there probably would have been those days where you said to yourself, oh God, I can't believe this is my life, right? In not a positive way, more so in that, I don't want to be here kind of way. So you've basically created the life you love, despite sometimes, and I think every entrepreneur would say this, there's going to be those challenging times, right?
Oh yeah. And that's the thing too, right? Having come from that world where I have my days where I'm frustrated now, but I get to fix them, right? And I get to work with my team to fix them and find the answers. Where in corporate life, I felt like if I do this wrong, I'm going to be so screwed, or I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get written up. all those like things that go through your head.
The call to the office. Can you please come in and then shut the door?
Or like that.
Shut the door.
That shut the door.
Or the meeting with HR that goes on your, on your calendar, and you're like, is it review time? What's happening? Right?
Like, you're stressing. That moment.
The anxiety. Yeah. I've been in that position. Yeah. Working for a large corporation. And when they say shut the door, it's never good.
Yep.
You know something's coming down that you just are going to wish you didn't shut the door for.
Yeah. So that's definitely like, I try, and the good thing is our place is so small, there's nowhere to shut the door. So like if I have
there is no door, it's wide open.
If I have to talk to you, I am talking to you, and everyone knows why I'm talking to you.
Oh my God, that's great.
So it's a completely different environment.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about obstacles, and I think you had such a challenging one right off the bat because you opened in 2020.
We opened in November of 2019.
2019, okay, right before.
We hadn't even gotten our feet wet yet. And then literally like every day was something different. So, that's why now, it was funny. Last week, people were asking me like, what are you going to do about these tariffs? I was like, I don't know. What are we going to do? I mean, we're just going to live through it, just like we lived through everything else. Like, I can't control it.
I feel like what you went through during quarantine, do you feel like everything after that is cake? You're like, I got it.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, during that period of time, right, they were like, okay, you can't open. And then I was like, but I can open because I have a takeout window. And they were like, okay, but you have to treat yourself like you're an actual restaurant. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I watched Dunkin' Donuts closed. I watched everyone around us close, where it was like me and 2 other cafes that were still open. And so what was cool about that was that we all became friends because it was just us. But it was crazy. And then they would tell us, okay, even if they're ordering from outside, people have to wear a mask. And so, people would be yelling at me because I'd be like, I'm sorry, can you put your mask up to order? And they'd be like, but I'm 6 feet away from you outside. And I'd be like, listen, I don't know who's watching. I don't know, what the deal is. This is what I'm being told. So if you want this stupid coffee, with this stupid mask on,
take your coffee and go.
Oh, right. If you want to come back next week and get coffee, I will not be here if you don't put that mask on.
I'm like, I'm not making up these rules. Like, I'm just trying to do what's right, and then I wouldn't even know who would be visiting me that day. Like, would it be the health department? Would it be the Department of Buildings, Department of Transportation? Because, then they were like, okay, you can have an outside, but we have to inspect it. And so every day was someone and something different.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And you were learning, you had just been open a couple of months when quarantine first happened. You were learning about entrepreneurism at the same time of learning, like everybody else was, of how to survive during COVID. A lot.
It is a lot. I mean, I was lucky that prior to opening, I already had some experience from partnering in a restaurant, but this was like my first solo venture.
Right.
And I say solo, I do have a partner now, which is my husband.
Okay.
But again, it's like, we're doing it on our own. It's not like I have a whole accounting department and marketing department and HR,
you're
to
wearing
look up all the
hats.
rules. Yeah. So every single change that went through had to go through us. Right. Okay. And he'd never worked in the industry really. So it was really, just me being like, can you look this up for me? Because I can't stare at this screen anymore.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you guys were balancing the journey of this together and not really, I don't want to say not knowing what to do, but you were finding it out together.
Yeah,
makes sense.
We were learning it day to day, right? We were sitting there every night, watching Governor Cuomo's daily whatever that he was doing, his updates and hearing the 7:00 clapping and there was
I forgot We used to go out
Yeah.
so long ago to
Yeah.
club at 7 o'clock.
We had like our routines then,
Yes.
and then we had a former like military person who, he played the taps every night at 7
that's
o'clock on
nice.
his balcony.
That's beautiful.
Like it was just like a whole thing in the neighborhood, which was great. But it was also like, you think about it and you're like, did I really just live through that? Like,
I know.
it felt like living in a war zone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just going to say,
go ahead.
it's crazy because I don't mean to cut you off. I totally forgot that we used to go outside and clap at 7 o'clock. That's almost how like you block it out of your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's been over 5 years now.
Yeah.
5 years is a long time.
5
a lot
years.
happens in 5 years.
Yeah. A lot.
And do you remember when we went to her cafe in Long Island
Yes.
City? It was maybe last year, but do you remember she has a window outside, which worked out conveniently for you during all of this?
Yep.
And so how did that help in the process of this?
I mean, it definitely kept us alive. It kept us open. And it kept us it made us a part of our neighborhood is really what it did. Like
Connect you to the community.
Yeah, it truly made us part of our community. Because on the back end, we were working with community already. I had I still have a prepared meal service for clients.
Okay.
And so when, our clients decided to leave the city or just vacate or just stop ordering or whatever it was, we pitched the meals to different agencies. And so like the housing authority would be like, oh, we'll take 500 meals tomorrow. Elmhurst Hospital came to us and said, hey, our cafeteria isn't opening. Can you bring us meals for the doctors and nurses on staff? And so, that's what we started doing.
So you pivoted,
Oh, completely.
which it's also for a good cause, right? Because you're helping people who obviously like doctors, nurses, they need to eat. There's nowhere for them to order, but yet. So to me, a restaurant, like that's an essential business.
Yeah.
You need to be fed.
Oh yeah. I personally worked 142 days straight before I took a day off.
Wow.
Just because, people were counting on us. We partnered with other local nonprofits that said, hey, you can count us in for 100 meals a day at least. So from Monday to Friday, we were pumping out anywhere between 100 and 500 meals a day from this tiny little space that we had. And we're still continuing to do these crazy things now, just on a different scale.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's two things I love what you said. One of them being community, because you are very involved with your community, and that's such a beautiful thing. And it's such an important part of a business is to get involved in the community, because really those are your customers, and you're creating this that we keep talking about, like authenticity, like authentic relationship with the people who come through your door, and they like seeing the face of the brand, the person, getting to know the owner.
Yep.
And I feel like you've bridged that with them really well.
It's very true. And my team does a great job of it too. There's some people on my team who like have now like babysit in the neighborhood and, or dog sit or whatever it is, because they get to know our customers get to know them, they become friendly. And, I like to think it's just more than a cafe. Like it is a community hub, and what's really cool about it is, yes, I know there is only one me, because people will ask me all the time, like, okay, now you have the place, now you're outgrowing it. How are you going to scale? There can't be more than just you. Like in order to scale, there has to be like 17 of you.
Right.
And I tell them, I'm like, listen, like if I don't scale to be like the next, I don't know, Panera or whoever else, that's okay with me. That's not why I entered this game. I entered this game to have freedom to do what I love every day, to make enough money to give myself a good life, and to be able to support the people who support me, right? So like my team, we're able to pay them. We were able to stay open while everybody else closed down. So we gave them purpose, and I hope we do continue to give them purpose. And if we decide to grow into that next step, I'm glad that I can take them on that journey with us if they want to come with us. You know what I mean? But that's the one thing that I find now that we've been in business for, over 5 years. It's like, well, what's next? What's next? And I'm like, well, I just take it to the day to day and see what comes next. Like, I don't need to have 100 little cafes, though it would be nice. We'll see what happens.
Right. And I think that's an important part of being an entrepreneur is diversifying sometimes and also figuring out other opportunities, right? I love that you said, right, you have the cafe, that's the base, that's the hub, but you're also doing these large scale meals for other organizations, right? And you're doing so much outside of that because you're doing the catering, you're doing the private chefing. Like there's so much nuance that goes into what is a brand, right? There's to you are a brand in it yourself. So like as entrepreneurs, it's important to figure out the difference of how do you build your brand and scale that being one person. It's such a challenge sometimes.
It's true. And, you know, when people ask like, how would you scale your business? I would take one piece of it and see which piece of it I would want to scale. But right now it's not really something I'm focusing on. And, you know, I had somebody say to me not that long ago when we were talking about business, you know, you have your hands in so many things and you're so, you know, it's true. You're diversified. Your business is like diversified. It's great. But when you are doing so many things, do you find that you're not good at anything? And I just looked at them and I was like, if I wasn't good at anything, then people wouldn't come to me and ask me for all of these things.
Right.
I said, but you know, it's good to have a niche and it's good to have a focus. But our focus is just providing what we can out of what we have. And whatever comes from that comes from that. I'm not complaining.
Right. You also talked about your team. And this is something we talk about a lot, is surrounding yourself with the right people and really creating that tribe, right? So it's like your support system. So talk a little bit about your team and like how, you know, obviously they're helping you. You're helping them, but they're also helping you more than just prep the meals, right? They're connecting with the community. That's really important because they're a representation of Little Chef.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny when people are like, hey, I go to the cafe and you're not there. And it's like, yes, but, or I'll be, you know, out and they're like, well, who's watching the cafe? And I'm like, well, it can't just be me all the time, guys. Like, and I'm thankful and super blessed that my team is driven and patient and supportive. And, you know, they're beasts. They run that kitchen, they run that counter. They know everything that they need to do. You know, they're on that Slack channel like crazy, you know, making sure that production is going right and that we're ready for the next day and, you know, that we're always set up for success. Because, you know, I'll hit them with, hey, we have a 2-day conference for 170 people where we're doing breakfast and lunch for 2 days. And they just look at me like, got it, you know, get us a menu. And so that's where it's come to at this point. And I owe all of our success to that, because without them being able to do that and learn that and handle that, we would be stuck, you know, just serving coffee and muffins, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. But
it allows you to do a little more.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's also a testament to you because you've created a culture where they have the buy-in and the loyalty to you to be able to jump in and be like, I got you. That's a big deal.
Yeah, they're fantastic. And, you know, I know they think I'm crazy and everything else, but I say to them, I'm like, well, you're just as crazy because, you know, you've been here almost 3-4 years. So, you know,
they're bought into the crazy.
Exactly.
You're one big crazy family, but that's okay. You're doing it together.
Exactly.
But are you crazy or your personality that's meant to shine?
I mean, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe we're just all crazy.
Well, we are. And that's probably why we're friends.
And that's okay.
Exactly.
Nobody wants anything that's just simple and straightforward.
Right.
You need a little color.
A little bit. And I do love, so bringing you back to your skills of you being a self-taught chef, correct? Because you did not go to school for culinary.
No, I did not.
So how do you become a self-taught chef? Because that sounds, for someone who does not like to cook, and I don't cook, that sounds horrifying.
You know, when I worked in restaurants, I loved learning every piece of it, right? I loved learning how the dishwasher worked, and looking at it and tinkering with it and seeing like, okay, what temperature is actually the right temperature? And like, you know, those things fascinate me. And so I always wanted to work in the kitchen. I always wanted to be back there. And they would be like, no, you should go in the front though. You like talking to people. And I'd be like, yeah, but I like being back here better. And they'd be like, no, go in the front, go in the front, go in the front. So finally, at this one restaurant, I must have been like 24, 25. And I said, hey, if I come in here during the day when you guys are prepping, can I just prep with you? Like, can I just watch? Can I just be a part of it? And they were like, and you're still going to work at night? Yes, I will still work at night. I will still, be behind the bar. I'll still be bubbly. I'll still serve everybody, but I just want to learn. And they were like, all right, fine. So I would come in and I'll never forget. He was like, all right, first thing I'm going to teach you is risotto. And I was so excited. And then all I did for a full month was break down 50-pound bag of onions. I'd come in and these bags of onions would be bigger than me.
Oh my God, was tears running down your eyes while you were doing this?
Yeah. I mean, luckily, like I wear contacts, so it's not as bad.
But onions are powerful.
Yeah, no, like wearing goggles and like learning how to break down a 50-pound bag of onions just like into small dices. And then once he was happy with my cuts, then he was like, okay, next step, you're going to learn how to caramelize the onions and toast the rice together. And I was like, oh, great. I'm not kidding you. This one arm got so much bigger than this arm because you just sit there stirring the whole time.
And I bet you, knowing her, she was so enthusiastic about this entire month.
I was like, this is great. Like,
this was your culinary school.
Yeah,
like, to me, this sounds like it was the training you would have gotten in school. Probably better.
Yeah, so that's why I say, like, when people are like, well, you're self-taught because you didn't go to school. I'm like, well, I did learn in the restaurants, but yes, I took what I was learning there and then I brought it home and like I would throw dinner parties for my friends.
How fun.
And some of them were great. Some of them were experimental, which is fine. Like, we all learn, like, because at the restaurant we had like, those cast iron pans.
Oh, I love a cast iron.
And you would like throw it in the oven and then take it back out and everything was fine. I had a glass one.
Okay.
Wait, a glass pan?
Like, a glass cover.
And you threw it in?
I threw it in my oven at home and then I heard this like explosion.
Wait,
and I was like,
you can't do that?
With certain ones, you shouldn't.
Oh.
And so I heard this explosion and I was like,
know this.
And then I pulled it out and all the glass was cracked and everything. And my friends were coming over for dinner. So I was like, well, tonight we're going to have salad and pizza.
I'm sure
you're not having a glass covered.
Yeah, I was like, oops, sorry, next time. But yeah, no, it was a lot of experimenting, a lot of fun. Yeah. And I am so grateful for every minute I spent in the kitchen and in the front of the house and just doing everything and literally working my way up because I started as a hostess and did every position under the sun until I actually became an owner. And then when I became an owner, it was like no holds barred.
Isn't that an important part of the journey is learning every step of the process. And I think sometimes people get so eager, they just want to jump to the top. But there's so much to be unpacked below to get you to be successful at the top.
Yeah. I mean, I always say like, if you're in the restaurant industry, you really like have to love it, right? You really do. You have to love it because it's a beast unlike any other. It's just... it's long hours. It's a lot of
peopling.
It's a lot of peopling. It's a lot of moving pieces. It's a lot of moving parts, and you don't go into the restaurant industry thinking I'm going to hit it big and I'm going to be rich, right? Like, at least to me, that's never what it was. It was always like, this is a passion. This is like what I enjoy. This is what I'm good at, right? So it's like that Japanese philosophy. It's like, what am I good at? What can make me money? How can I support myself and what makes me happy? And then when you find the four of those, that's like where you're supposed to be. So like, that's for me, like, that's what this industry is. And I've seen it change and it's still continuing to change. Consumers' behaviors are changing. But there's nothing you can do to get me out of it. Like, even if you set my place on fire, I'm building it right back.
Hold on. We're knocking on the We're knocking on the wood right here.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do to keep me away from it.
But I think that speaks to the passion that you have for it, right? You just absolutely love it. So of course, nothing would take you away from it because it's the one thing that you just want to be immersed in. I don't know if it's 24/7 because you do need a break, but it's your passion. And I think like Jenna said, in any business, if you are going to own it or you want to be at the top, you have to know or at least understand if maybe you don't work in every position, but you have to understand how every position operates in your business. Because if you're running the business, right, and you both can speak to this, you have to know what everybody's roles are and how they're done, right? So I think to me, being in the business the way you were, that was your schooling, that was your training. So, but I'm sure there was a lot of challenges along the way. I'm sure it wasn't as simple as some people might think it is, right? Like, oh, I'll go work in a restaurant. I'll start from the beginning and I'll work my way up. I'm sure you encountered a lot of, I don't want to call it bumps along the way, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and the environment of a kitchen isn't always, there's a reason they call it the back of the house, right? Because you're in the back and what goes on the back stays in the back, right? So, being in the kitchen, being female, being small in stature, it was easy for me to get lost, but it was also easy for me to get targeted.
Okay.
And it was, it was a lot of guys back there, but I made the most of it and I grew a very thick skin. My Spanglish was on point, still is on point, so these are things that you cannot replicate or replace. But yeah, and what's good about it is like, I always try to see the positive outcomes. And so from seeing how other people ran their kitchens, whether I agreed with it or not, at least I knew this wasn't how I was going to be in mine. And this was not how I was going to treat other people. I've had plates thrown, hot pans from the stove, just like thrown. Right?
Wow.
What chefs throwing tantrums, yeah.
Can you imagine?
But that was okay. That was accepted. That's what you expected. Chefs to have a temper and a tantrum and this and that, right? Like the Gordon Ramsays or whatever, right? That are like in your face, calling you an idiot sandwich and putting the bread on your head. Like that's basically like the restaurant culture I grew up in. But I hope you can see like I'm not that person, right? And it didn't make me jaded. If anything, it made me say like, no, I want to create a space that's like the complete opposite of that, where we're always laughing, we're always joking, we're getting our work done, but we're listening to all the music, whether it's Bad Bunny or Taylor Swift or whatever, that's going to get us in a great mood to get things done. So,
isn't that the great thing about entrepreneurism is that so many people, including myself, right? You create something that you experience the worst of, right? And I feel like that generation, even, it was this leading with fear, leading with anger, and it's scaring everyone into doing their jobs. But it doesn't have to be like that. We can all have fun.
Yeah.
We can enjoy what we do in life and have fun, do great work at the same time.
Yep, exactly. And whether that's like woke or whatever you want to call it, I just think it's part of learning and changing with the times, right?
Absolutely. I think too, because you both talk about that why does it have to be like that? Like, why do you have to go to work and feel like, oh my God, I'm going to get screamed at, or
the door's going to shut?
Right. The door's going to shut, or I'm going to get bread sandwiched on my head. Unless I'm eating that bread, get it out of my face.
Yeah.
But who would want, like, and you both again can attest to this as entrepreneurs and business owners, who would like want to do that to an employee? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I can't really understand that.
I think it takes a certain type of person to be that. And also, it's ego driven.
And
I think at this point, because there's this level of authenticity that people look for in companies, you have to be more authentic. And in authentic, you don't really have an ego. And I think this fear element, there's a basis of ego that comes with it.
Yeah, I mean, all of us as humans, we have egos, right? But I know what feeds my ego, like putting out good food, hearing that my team has done well. I read our reviews that say, wow, like they're so friendly in here. That's what feeds my ego, right? It's not having people cower and like, bow down to me or anything like that. That's what makes me uncomfortable. That's not an environment that I want to be a part of. So it's definitely not one that I want to foster. But other people, that's what drives their ego. It's like that they're the best, that they're feared, that everyone is going to do exactly what they say, or they're going to, face the consequences. And I've never understood why that drives people's, ego and how that motivates you. But, I hope you find Jesus and like, like whatever is going to make that turn around.
And stop yelling at me, please.
Exactly. Because I'll tell you, like being in the I am in the service industry, right? I am serving people. Not only am I selling a product, but I am also selling a service. And, there are times where people do talk to us like, we are beneath or, we are not of their level. And for me, I'm like, all right, that's okay. We've worked with you once. Doesn't mean we have to work with you again. But also like, it's one of those things that, do I sit here and just let them talk to me like this? Knowing that, we're getting a check at the end of the day. Am I, is it worth being dehumanized? Or am I just going to take this with a grain of salt and say, all right, it's just for a couple hours and that's about it. So, there's that very delicate balance where it's like, what am I going to accept and take? But also when am I going to draw that line? So yes, we have fired clients in the past that have been difficult or, that had expectations that we were just not going to meet because again, like we are not going to dehumanize ourselves or put ourselves in a position where we're uncomfortable. Because listen, we're not saving. I hate saying we're not saving lives because food is such an essential part of your life.
Right.
But we're here to make food a good and positive experience for you. And if you don't want us to do that for you, that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And I do love the idea of this drawing boundaries as an entrepreneur because not everything's based off of money. And some people are driven that way and that feeds their ego. And if they want to put up with it, go for it. But you don't have to say yes to everything that comes along. And it's you get to be in the control seat and say, you know what, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth my team's sanity.
Correct.
We're not going to do this again. And it's also standing up for your team at the same time too. And I'm sure they appreciate that when you're able to do that.
I mean, I hope so, in the sense that like I try to also protect them from that layer because again, like a lot of them, this is their first foray into the industry and I don't want them to, obviously it's good to have all of the experiences, but if I can protect them from having any that are like going to leave a bad taste in their mouth, I'd rather do that or at least be able to guide them through it rather than being like, all right, figure it out on your own.
That's also what's nice about that too is you're also like a mentor to them. And I think, in allowing them to see some of it, but not all of it, right? Because you don't want them to be scared away. Possibly if maybe their dream is similar or their path that they want is similar to yours. So I think that's also a testament to a good leader, right? Is when you guide your team and you know what they need to help them, I'll say, get to the next level without them having to maybe experience all of the things that you as the owner or the founder, the entrepreneur are going through or have to handle.
Yeah. Like I talk to them plainly. Like I tell them about our finances. I tell them exactly how much it costs to have to run the place and then some, but I also tell them like, hey, if someone's giving you a hard time, you can feel free to walk away or, let them know that I'll talk to them when I have time or that maybe this just isn't the place for them. Like, even if you go on our Google reviews, I tell people, I'm like, we're not meant for everybody. And that's fine. Go find somewhere else. Like that's meant for you.
I think as an employee of any company or business, when you know that your leader, your boss supports you, that in itself is such a great feeling because I think that helps your employees do better work, right? Because they know my boss supports me. My boss has my back. My boss wants me to succeed. So they're going to give me the tools that I need. I think that's just a great, like, how do I explain it? Like, that's just, as an employee, that's such a great feeling to go into work every day and know, or wherever your job is, to know that your back, you have, somebody has your back. They have your best interests at heart.
Yeah. Like I always tell them, like, I'm always going to have your back, even if we are in a position where like, maybe we might have made a mistake. That's fine. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. There's going to be days where sometimes whether you're tired or you're just having a bad week, whatever it is, like you're allowed to make a mistake. Right. And like I said, like food is super subjective. Our food is not going to be for everybody. And that is okay. It doesn't mean that we're putting out a bad product. Doesn't mean that, we're not doing something right. It just means that what we have is just not for that person. And that's okay. And so when something happens, it's funny because I always am like prefacing it. I'm like, hey, tell me what happened. I'm like, you're not in trouble. I just need to know what happened so that when I talk to this person, I have all of the facts so that I can, clear the air or whatever it is. It's not because I'm trying to place blame.
Right.
It's because I just want to know so that if they come at us, I can say, hey, but this is, this is what I was told. So, I always tell them, like, if you make a mistake or even if we are at fault, it's okay. Like, don't be scared. So.
And I think that's a great thing because that's showing you as a leader, not just a manager. And there's a huge difference between the two. And leading, you're creating this culture within your environment that people want to, as you grow, you want to keep attracting more people to your culture, more people to your brand, because you need all those people as you grow.
Exactly. Like, I want people to know that like our brand is friendly and our brand is like, welcoming. Right. And being a neighborhood cafe, like I would feel like that vibe is like what we give off already, but I just wanted to really like be ingrained in there.
Now, just to shift focus a little bit,
yes.
You and I had a conversation recently about social media,
and
you were like, this is the year I'm going to start to do more on social media. And you're like, I'm going to create strategy. I'm going to do this. Talk to us about that. Because we know Al's head of content, social media, she's all over it. And it's so important to brands. Like, why at this point are you like, I'm going to do social media. I'm going to give it energy right now?
I think because it's important because that's where a lot of people's attention are. And that's like, that's where they're getting their news. That's where they're getting their trends. That's where they're getting their entertainment, So I think it's really important to be a standout there because it is so like overwhelming when you open that feed and everything is popping at you, right? Everything. And so we're to the point where consumers are over consuming because they're just like scrolling. Like, 1.2 seconds is like the average that their eyes land on something. So it's like you have that 1.2 seconds
to get them.
Yep. To make that impact. And so I'm like, all right, I guess at this point, like, again, this is not just about me, right? For our brand, we're supporting so many people that it's not just about me anymore. But I am the face. I am the name. I am the creator, right? Oh God, that sounds so blah, but
it's what you are.
But,
embrace it.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, I'm willing to go on there and be an idiot or whatever it is that will make people laugh or remember us and be like, I want to go in there because that owner's wacko. And is she really that wacko in real life? And are her sandwiches really that good? So yeah, so to your point, when you were like, you need that persona out there, you need that personality out there, people will remember. I keep hearing your voice in my head, right? So I'm trying to build more of that. It's just there's not enough time in the day, Jenna.
It's a lot. It's a full-time job.
It is a full-time job.
Why we do it for people as well.
Yes, exactly. So
hence what we do.
I was just gonna say, it's such a powerful tool for businesses, and like you said, everybody is on there, right? So that's where your customers are. That's where your audience is. And so have you started doing that? Have you felt yet that connection with your audience? Would you say that it's impacted your growth, or are you just really, I know sometimes it can be uncomfortable, but we always talk about getting out of, like, you have to step out of your comfort zone. So how has it been for you so far?
And also to clarify too, so you've been on social media, but now we're talking about you being the face, the thought leadership of the social media.
Yes. Okay. So I am grateful for it. I do have a team that helps me with some of it because I obviously, like, my hands are always busy,
right?
Whether it's in the kitchen or, on a computer, like trying to pay our bills or whatever it is. But I do love that, customers can reach out to us in that instant. and that, we're able to connect with them and they can show us like, oh, look at my, 1-year-old that's enjoying a cupcake for the first time on their birthday. Or, hey, you made my, bridal shower brunch and, and now I'm throwing my baby shower. So, we really do connect with them in that sense, which is amazing. And we grow with them. Like, I can't tell you how many families I've seen grow that continue to tag us and, share with us. Like, even if we only see them like twice a year for like the birthdays or whatever it is, it's still so special that like we've been around to see them grow into this beautiful family. And so, yeah, that's why I'm trying to, I guess, reach that broader audience. And it's like, how do you do that? So, I've been pushing us to do more pop-ups again and do more, outreach and more marketing events. Like every year I do the Wine and Food Festival for New York. And we just have a few things coming down the pipeline that are really exciting. So how else are we going to share them but on social media?
Exactly.
Right?
Got to put it out there. Got to get yourself, just connecting. It's nice when you see your community sharing whether they stopped in for something or you made a cake for a birthday, but also then showing up and showing your authentic self, right? And just, I think people like to connect with that, right? Like we talk about this too. When you just put yourself out there, somebody watching may see themselves in you. And maybe just you're talking about your journey and somebody might say, well, I want to be a chef too, or I want to have, my own business. And wow, that's really interesting the way in which she went about it. So they find that piece of you that you share. And while you may be, I don't want to say afraid, but maybe you're uncomfortable to share it, you never know who's listening and who's going to take that piece. And you may have helped them without even knowing that you helped them.
I do find that. I actually, funny enough, yesterday I had 2 high schoolers. I sit on the board for Food Education Fund, and we do a lot of the programming and fundraising for culinary programs in New York City high schools. And so every year I'm involved in the gala, and this year I had students doing a demo at the gala, and they were so wonderful and so awesome. And, they reached out to me afterwards and said, hey, can we come to the bakery and like you show us how to like make your cakes? And, we heard your buttercream is really good from like past students. So can we like come try it? And
that's so sweet.
So they actually came yesterday and we baked for about 3 hours doing cinnamon rolls and cakes and, showing them buttercream. And it was amazing. And it was like the best time I've spent this week other than sitting here with you guys, but it's just, and I didn't realize what an impact just showing up would have and, what interest it was to them. And they had so many questions and they were having so much fun just independently baking. And, I just, you're right. Like you never know who's listening and you never know who's going to see it and have it make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think too, as you grow your brand, because you have so many goals, but you never know where the business is going to take off or how, right? You can wind up in a whole nother city and you don't even expect that, right? In a couple of years, that's where you might end up. Who knows? But you're laying the foundation for bigger things with thought leadership because you're able to, on social media, connect with people who aren't just within say not 50 miles, but like 5 miles of us, right? So you're connecting with people all over and building out your network for who knows what down the line,
Right. Like maybe you're not able to come visit us, but this is what we do on our day to day, and if you do find yourselves in our area, now you can, what you can order and you don't have to stand there dumbfounded at our menu and be like, oh, what do I get? Right.
They're pre-prepared for you.
Exactly. And so, one thing I've been talking about with my friends and team is like, all right, I know you can't plan something to go viral, right? It just happens, right? It's a natural thing.
Right.
And when I say natural, I mean, it's like, how is the algorithming?
In that second.
Yeah, right? Like, how is it doing? What is the mathematical equation of this? But I was like, but if we can plan a day and plan an item and like really strategize and get like our friends and other people that we know to post about it in that one day and just keep posting about it for that full day, I guarantee you we can make it go viral. And they're like, all right, so what are we going to do? So now that's what we're thinking. Ooh. We're like, what is it going to be? Our cheddar pepper scone sandwiches? Is it going to be our brookie? Is like, what is it going to be? and how are we going to get into people's hands and what day are we going to choose to do this?
I love that strategy.
Me too. And I love a brookie. So I think you should go with that.
We'll be participating.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
how do we get involved?
Yeah. Oh, no. Don't worry. You guys are on the list.
Done.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love that. And that's the thing with content creation is you have to keep brainstorming and coming up with new ways to trick the algorithm sometimes into your favor, but to always be putting out fresh ideas.
True.
Yeah. And it's a full-time job to be able to do this.
It is. And it's also really knowing and understanding who are you talking to.
Yep.
Right? Who's your audience? Who's watching you or who's following you? And I think once you understand that, then you'll know, okay, this is what's going to resonate with them and this is not going to. And you can try something because sometimes you never know things you don't think people are going to like. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I should post this. And then you put it out there and it blows up.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of different strategies, but it sounds like you're already in it. You're already brainstorming. You and your team are really thinking of your brand, thinking of how do we become more, I hate to say it, more out there, but how do we connect more with that community and with our followers? And I know for me, if I see something, so say for instance, I didn't follow you. I do, but say I didn't. And Jenna posted something and she writes, I just had a gluten-free cheddar biscuit. And I'd be like, oh my God, gluten-free. All right, where is this place? Because I just connected with you because I'm also gluten-free. Now I know that you make gluten-free. So I have to come find out who you are. So I think it's just also in the power of those people. It just is like a domino effect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've been, I've been throwing this idea out there, meeting with different people. Because I will talk to anybody. Like
This is true.
really will.
I've seen her.
It's
It's a powerful skill you have. You have so much energy for it.
Literally, I will talk to anybody. I don't care. Like, I don't know what happened, but one day I woke up and I was like, I don't care if you say no to my face. I will just carry on and do my thing. Right. So that's like the biggest piece of advice I always give. Like, anytime I'm on a panel or they're asking me to talk to students, I'm like, never be afraid to ask a question or just say hello. Like you never know who you're talking to. Right. So I will talk to anybody. And I think that's like one thing about me that is good and bad, but I will literally sit there and be like, so what do you think of this idea? And I always want feedback and I always want to hear what you have to say and hear what you have to think. And, it drives me. Just like I said, like I'm so interested in how a dishwasher works or whatever. Like those are the things that like really spark my interest. So when I sit here and I'm like, yeah, do you think this is a good idea for me to send everybody cheddar biscuits and like make them eat them and then like tag everyone? Yes. Yes.
I agree.
Make us eat them.
I was just going to say, we say yes. You agree.
But I've always said this about you. That's one of your greatest skills. If you find a way to connect with every single person you're talking to, and you have a way of making them feel like you're in their world and you're invested and you're in this conversation. And that's a powerful tool for networking, which is also a powerful tool for PR, because you're creating this perception, with whether you mean to or not, that you're this very well invested person in terms of personal connections. And it's very hard to build a personal connection. And you're so good at keeping them going.
Well, thank you. It's funny because just this morning, Daniel Dorado from Migrant Kitchen came in to get some coffee and treats. And I said to him, I was like, actually, I'm seeing Jenna today. And he was like, my God, you're like the social butterfly. Like you,
Literally.
like you have kept in touch with everyone from our cohort. Like every time we look, you're there, like, or you're talking to someone or you're on the WhatsApp group. And yeah.
You're doing so. I give you so much credit because I don't know how to, I personally don't have the energy like that. And I always am envious of that. But it's so amazing how you can find networks of people that you always are somehow interconnected with, like with Daniel. And obviously we all met through Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. So, and networks and connections are so important to find as entrepreneurs.
Yep.
Because you never know what you can learn from them, the cross-pollination, collaboration. I mean, there's so much inspiration to be had from them.
It's true. And, it's hard. The hardest part I think about being an entrepreneur is that you're like solo on an island, right? Like, because there's no one who understands your business like you do. There's no one who knows the struggles that you're going through like you do. And when you try to talk to other people, they're like, well, why don't you do a little more self-care, or, or like whatever it is that they suggest, which, it comes from the heart, and, they're really trying to help you out, but it's like, but you don't understand. I don't even have time to like go to the bathroom properly. Like, I don't even have time to like properly shower because this is going on in my head. And I have so many things that I need to do. That it's nice to have another entrepreneur friend, never mind a whole group that you can talk to and be like, oh my God, my week was shit. Like, this is what happened. Sorry, am I allowed to curse on here?
Oh, 100%. We encourage.
Go for it.
But, and I think that's the beauty of having friends who are entrepreneurs, because it reminds you that like, you're not alone in this game. As much as you feel it sometimes, you're really not.
Right.
Well, you have that shared connection. And I think that's a great way to support one another, because only you know what it's like to go through that. And that's your tribe, right? You have your tribe, you have your team at work, but then you have while they're not your colleagues, they are, because you're all entrepreneurs and you're all running your own businesses, whatever industry that may be, right? So I think you guys need that support, and you need, just like when we say in companies, right? Like we talk about the work bestie, right? You find your people, and that's who you turn to when maybe you're having a bad day, or maybe you're just like something fabulous happened and you're like, oh my God, I have to share it with so-and-so. When you're an entrepreneur and you have these groups, you guys probably are able to just call each other and be like, oh my God, guess what happened? Or when Jen is telling you about like, you should get more on social media, right? And you're like, oh, I just did this. Like, she's your person. She's in your ear, and that's who you're thinking about. So that's like having that work connection, even if it's not the same company.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah. And it also helps New York City is so big and so competitive, but it helps make it that much smaller, which is nice. Because then you get like, hey, sitting here, she's talking about Daniel. I'm like, oh my gosh, how's Daniel? We're all interconnected at that point.
Well, the interesting thing is, I don't know if Jen has ever told you this story, but before we started,
a little juicy tea right now?
Yes, a little bit.
I don't know if I've told you this.
So before I started 10,000 Small Businesses, I had like this vision board of like what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be as like a chef and a business owner. And so I had looked up like PR agencies in New York City and who I wanted to work with. And JMG PR was like at the top.
I know, you would think she's making this up.
Oh my God, I love this.
I was following her for the longest time.
This is before the group.
This is before the group. So then when we got the attendee list and we're all getting to know each other, I saw her name and I freaked out. And I went into that classroom and I went right up to her and I was like, I don't know if you know this. I said, but please don't think like I'm a creep or anything. But I have to tell you, I have been following you for years and I am so happy that we're like sitting in the same room together, like sitting at the same table, being able to talk to one another, because I've been following like what you've done, your PR strategy, like everything. And I think it's so brilliant. And it was just like a starstruck, like girl crush moment come to life.
It's one of my favorite things.
Okay, first of all, I love that story.
Yes.
Number one, you manifested it. You put it in the universe. And I truly believe if you put something out there, it's somehow it happens. I love that not only did you wind up in the same class, right? And you guys connected. What a beautiful friendship that came out of that.
Yeah. No, it was always like, this is going to be my goal. Like, this is like how I know, like, this is one of my marks of success, is that I will be working with JMG PR one day.
I mean, that to me is the best thing I could ever hear, you know?
Yeah.
This is what we do here.
Yeah.
And that's what I was just going to say. I have to turn it and ask you the question. When you heard that, like what went through your mind as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? How did that make you feel, knowing that what you've been doing impacted someone you hadn't even met yet? But now because you probably both impact people that you never get to meet, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what was that feeling like, being able to hear that?
I heard her words, but it was almost like those out-of-body experiences where you kind of take a step back mentally. I acknowledge, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's awesome, of course. But I was kind of like, wow, like, is that real? Like, how is that? How crazy is that? To also think too, like, your goal is to hopefully impact people and your goal is to hopefully reach people. Right. You don't really know until someone actually stops you and tells you so. And that was a moment where it was like, wow, what we're doing really is powerful. Like, not that we're making a difference, but people are listening.
Yeah.
But you are making a difference because you made a difference in her life.
Well, I hope so.
It's so true. And like, I just, even sitting here, I'm like, wow, I still can't believe it. Like, not even like 2 years ago, I was thinking about like, how am I going to get her attention and how am I going to like get on her client list? And like, here we are.
Talking over beautiful biscuits.
I was just going to say, you're never leaving. Stay.
Yes. Nope, never leaving.
Oh my God, I love that story. And I think that kind of brings this whole conversation full circle. Yeah. It's the power of connection. It's the power of being in business, being an entrepreneur, finding your people, finding that tribe, utilizing social media, utilizing community to make those connections. You utilized a community, the entrepreneur group. That's community. It brought you guys together. Social media, putting yourself out there. I can't think of anything better than that.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So for you,
what
has been one of the biggest moments in this journey for you? You've accomplished so much, like witnessing it, especially the last like 2-3 years of knowing you. Every month you're doing something new and different. But what has been one of your biggest wins for you?
Honestly, being able to celebrate still like having this place be open. You know, I got burned in a business deal like right when we first started 10KSB, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, this could like potentially ruin us. And, you know, coming out of that on the other side, just it really solidified the fact that I am doing exactly what I need to be doing. And I just need to keep, you know, hitting the ground running every single day and like not listen to the naysayers, but also to hear what the message is, because that's just going to make me better. Right. So like I keep replaying it in my head of like, well, if you're doing everything, you're not good at one thing. Right. But I keep saying like, that's not true, because I am a unicorn. And I am good at all of this. And that's okay. Like, I don't have to listen to everybody. So I think for me, like, the biggest accomplishment is just having built not just the business, but myself into a more confident leader and business owner. Because before this, if you asked me, I would tell you I make coffee and muffins for a living and just like kind of skated over it. But now I'm like, proud to tell that story and proud to share where we came from and continue to do so, whether it's on social media or like, you know, through people I meet. It's not, you know, yes, it's good to be humble and modest and
you own it.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with owning it at all.
But owning it and being proud of it is okay too.
Absolutely. You work really hard for it. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying that and saying, I've created this and you can be good at a lot of things. Like you should be your biggest cheerleader, right? Because if you don't believe in yourself, how do you have other people believe in you?
Or you should be your own publicist.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? If not, you should call your publicist.
Yes.
There we go.
I call Jenna at least once a week.
And I love it.
Oh my God, that is
But
great.
I'm so happy to hear that. And I think there's something like an onus too. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have this problem. So they think they're bragging. And it's not bragging. There's nothing bad about owning your space and owning what you've accomplished. That's not bragging. You're just acknowledging, yeah, you know what? I did a good job and it took me a long time to get here and I'm happy about it.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's exactly what I'm learning every day and, you know, stepping out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
And
you have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable again.
Yes.
That makes sense.
1,000%.
It's true.
Well, I do have a question. If you could give advice to your younger self, right? If you think back, I don't know, 10 years or even longer, what would you tell yourself? Knowing what you know now, right? You know where you are in your journey, but what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself what I tell, you know, the team every day. And, you know, it's basically like, don't be afraid. You know, I was always so scared that I wasn't going to be good at something or that, you know, I was going to look foolish or whatever. And it's okay. We all start somewhere, right? So if I could talk to my younger self, I would tell her like, it's all right that you're going to make mistakes and you're going to, you know, misstep or whatever it is, because it's always going to turn out okay. You know, and I think so many people live in that fear that they're going to do something wrong, that they don't take the chance. And I'm so glad that even though it took me a while to do it, that I actually did take the chance and that I got over that fear and that I'm still getting over all the other ones that I have, like being on camera.
Not anymore. Done.
So, so yeah, I mean, that's it.
And so what's next? What's in the big picture for you now?
This is where I am now, right? Like I'm thinking about it every day because it's true. Like we're outgrowing that space. I mean, truthfully, we probably outgrew it years ago, but I still keep forcing every like last centimeter out of it that I can. But I think what's next for us is going to be, how do we make the Little Chef bigger, right? Bigger and broader. What does that entail? And so again, I feel like I'm kind of back at the beginning, throwing things and seeing what sticks, but also doing some research with it and finding what should we do? Should we really like taper down the brand and, put a stall up at JFK or, like it's, or do we get like another brick and mortar, or do I try to open another commissary kitchen again? Like what is that? So, that's really where we're trying to plan for 2026.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Diana, for joining us. This has been a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
I love the conversation.
And my stomach can't wait to eat these. It is growling.
I can't wait. Thank you guys for having me. This was amazing and enlightening and just a great way to spend an afternoon.
I agree. And how can people find you?
So I am on the Instagram at Little Chef Diana. Our cafe is Little Chef Little Café. We're located in Long Island City, near the waterfront off the Vernon Jackson stop. So please come see us. We'll be building out our outdoor soon. So we'll have some outdoor dining and lots of stuff being announced on social media. So follow us.
All right. Thanks, Diana.
Thank you.